Hey world. So so much going on today. It's been a crazy week, just all over the place. So much good, so much confusion, so much bad, so much iffy. I wouldn't say bad, just moments, right? Moments where I feel overwhelmed with emotions or overwhelmed with feelings flowing, which isn't a bad thing at all. Um, I call it falling into my feels, right? And it happens. It does happen to me. I'm an overly sensitive person. I'm processing, 41 years of not processing, right? So at times I get overwhelmed with my emotions. Now, when this happens, it reflects on others sometimes and it's not intentional. Um, when it happens, in a way, it gets deflected to the people closest to me. Um, there's so much to be said for evolving, growing, transforming. There's so much work involved on all levels. It's a matter of enormous impacts, and it's like this ripple effect, right? When one person's off, everybody feels it in this in a circle. Uh, this has been a up and down week a little bit emotionally. Uh, I've had clarity, which is good. I've made tons of right choices. I've made a few questionable ones. Nothing that will impact me forever, but just questionable. Um, things you never know what things are, right? Like the unknown is scary for everyone, and fear controls us in so many ways. It controls me. I get insecure. Am I good enough for this? Am I not good enough for this? Am I not worth it? Am I worth it? And self doubt kicks in, and you start questioning everything. And happens to everyone at moments, right? We all have our moments. Now, what we do with those moments is up to us, right? We are going to have choices. We're all going to be tested. We're all going to be presented with things that can change us for impact us in enormous ways. How those things impact us is truly up to us and what we hold to our core values and beliefs and what we allow ourselves to feel. I've made a decision to fully embrace myself and fully love myself and embrace every part of me, including spiritually and my soul and everything about me, my soul's purpose. And it's very difficult at times, right? As I go more outward with my purpose and what I'm here to do and what I'm going to do and how I'm going to elevate people and help people be their best selves. Um, it has challenging moments throughout, right? There's, you know, you you get a lot of resistance, especially from those that are, feel it the most, right? Which are the ones closest to you and how it impacts you. And during those times, they're going to have to make choices and things that will change them as well. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's just indifferent, right? You just don't know. At the end of the day, there's things in life that are just outside of our control, and we need to just accept that and allow it and just be with ourselves for a little bit. I had a few down moments today, and I didn't express it properly in many ways. And I just got overwhelmed a little bit and in my feelings and took a couple of things personally that had nothing to do with me, um, and just overthought. Once the overthinking kicks in, then it goes into turbo over analyzing and the fears, the insecurities. Hey, Rhonda. the worthlessness, the am I good enough feelings, right? And all the negativity kicks in. When all that kicks in, it's really difficult for those around you because, in a way, it's almost like you're blaming them when that's not intent. Um, but it's really just being stuck in your own head, right? And that fear and insecurity that comes along with it. I'm an extremely intuitive empath, and it's very painful at times, right? It hurts because I feel everything. And I have this instinct that I just have a gut feeling of what's going to go on, how it's going to happen. Now, because of my life, I have this jaded point of view or negative connotation to it all. And that's not fair when I push it on others. It's not fair when it consumes me. It's not fair when I turn into these negative narratives that me and Annie have talked about so many times live, right? To where I start reacting to things that aren't even happening. And it's tough. Like at times, it is very challenging. And being aware now of my triggers and acknowledging them as they happen when I'm in those down moments or I'm having one of those moments of overwhelmed, over feeling just overall down, which comes and goes, right? Like, I mean, it comes in waves. Nobody, I don't, I'm not there permanently. I'm there 5% of the time, maybe. Um, but I think that's normal, right? Like, there's so many things in this world that are chaotic. I mean, come on, we're in the United States. We were one of the greatest countries in the world, and I think we still have that potential. But for that to happen, we need to unify. And right now, there is no unification. There is no United States, right? And the media is pushing this message, and this is pushing that message. And politics, and everything that's going on is so divisive, and it's just tearing people apart. It's ripping families apart. It's tearing friends apart. It's creating segregated circles of like-minded people rather than unifying, finding common ground, and finding middle road. Right? I mean, look at the stimulus package. I mean, both sides couldn't come to the table to help the citizens when they both know that they needed to. And now it's going to be more months of horrific economic impact because both sides were too stubborn to come together. Emotions are tough. Our minds are even harder. And we go through these phases that it just gets difficult. And we don't allow, and we freak out, and we feel very, very overwhelmed. Just I think it happens to everybody, right? And there's so many triggers out there. When perceived leaders are coming across in ways that are triggering an enormous percentage of the population and globally too, then it's a dangerous situation. It pushes us to think things that we wouldn't think, do things that we wouldn't do, increases anxiety, increases all of the negatives that live within us, right? And sometimes we just can't control them. And sometimes it's overwhelming and eats us alive. Um, it's been a very interesting week. So many ups and downs, so many all over the places. Um, you know, when I look at it, it's been some of the best conversations I've ever had this week. When I look at it, it's been some of the hardest conversations I've ever had this week. When I think about it, there's been some of the most questionable things I've thought, my own thought process in my head. And I think it's all based on fear, right? It's fear driving us to do things, fear pushing us in directions and creating chaos for us. And I don't think I naturally just want chaos. I think I've been conditioned to create it, which is not fair to those around me. And it creates these scenarios that are just tough situations for everyone involved. As I look at where I'm at, where I'm going, where I want to be, how I'm going to get there, all those decisions. And I look at reality of where I'm at today and what's in front of me and being present in the moment, going to the playground with the kids, going down slides, playing with the kids, doing all these things. Um, yeah, I I agree, but I disagree. I feel like 2020 is just like it all comes to a head, right? I think the divisive nature started generations ago, long generations ago, and I think the divisive nature has always been there. I think the divisive nature goes back to how this country was founded on the principles and the lack of values that it was created. Um, I think that we have many false idols and we look at people as these perfect leaders and perfect, um, just we idolize them. And yes, insecure is a very good word for where we live today. Um, but at the same time, it's deeper than insecurities. It's really truly fear, and it digs into fear, right? And you can't watch a single news channel without being scared of something. I don't care what side you're on. I don't care which channel you watch. There's fear-driven information. Social media is full of fear-driven information, and I believe that perception is everything. For people that are awake, they're going to see through a lot of it, but I think they get caught up in it still, like I have, right? And I've started limiting my social media, just because I don't want the negativity in my mind. I don't want to be consumed by it. I don't want to choose sides. I want to find better ways to do things. I want to find ways to unify people, bring them together, and go from there, right? I think we have choices in this world and choices in our daily life that impact where we go forward. And I think it's time for us to start making choices that are benefits to us. I think we go for stuff that is more meaningful rather than surface convenience. And I don't think it's that simple. I really don't. I know it's not that simple. I know it's not that simple at all, right? Because there's many layers of complications within simple solutions. Thanks, Rhonda. Um, but sometimes we've got to follow our intuition and our heart a little bit and not look for instant gratification. And I know that I have a really hard time with that, right? Like I want things and I want certain aspects to change. And I want certain things to be in front of me when they're not. I don't want to be patient. I don't want to wait. I want. And I don't think it's the best way to do things. I don't think it's the best idea of how to do things. Um, I think it's time to unify different sides. It's time to bring together differences. It's time to look for solutions to differences. And I think it's time to identify positives from both sides and work out a middle ground. Yes, we definitely have to work through the process, but it goes deeper than that because so much has been deep rooted and there's been so much negativity thrown around from every side that I don't even think people understand what they're even standing for anymore. Now, I'm not saying everybody. There's lots of people that do, right? And there's lots of things in this world that trigger people one way or the other based on how they were raised and how they grew up and what their life experience was. I think in time, a lot of things will come to the surface that aren't what they appear to be, but that's okay. Overall, I've had a really good week. I'm going to end my live, and I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.